Prime Minister elated by performance of Jamaican athletes at World Championships. Government and Teachers Inc. wage deal. And the PM tours new school in St. Andrew. This is Jamaica House Weekly. I'm Carrie Ann Smith. Illustrious. That's how Prime Minister Portia Simpson Miller has described the outstanding performance of Jamaica's athletes at the 2015 IAAF World Championships. Jamaica won 12 medals, 7 gold, 2 silver and 3 bronze, placing us second on the medal table. In a statement, the Prime Minister said the nation should be inspired by the hard work, discipline, teamwork and determination demonstrated by our athletes. She also congratulated the women's 4x400 meter relay team on their gold-winning performance. Their male counterparts were acknowledged for their courage and effort during the race, even though they placed fourth. Mrs. Simpson Miller also expressed appreciation to the athletes' coaches, support staff and other sporting administrators.
I have been reassured that the teachers are fully on the journey of national development for our beloved country.
Prime Minister Portia Simpson Miller saluting the island's teachers following the signing of a wage agreement between the government and the Jamaica Teachers Association. The agreement is for the 2015-2017 contract period.
Increases in salary are projected for 4% in year 1 and 3% in year 2. Other existing allowances were also increased. These include book and software, duty, special duty, transportation, and protective clothing allowance.
A $25 million fund will also be established to give tertiary grants to the children of public sector teachers. The educators will also receive outstanding tuition repayments. As part of the compensation package, lands will be identified to develop housing solutions for teachers, and the Professional Development Fund will be increased to $20 million.
My government is banking on the farming sector to provide much of the improved economic growth we are working towards.
Prime Minister Portia Simpson Miller expressing government's commitment to the agricultural sector, which grew by 0.5% in the April to June quarter of this year. To support even further growth, she reiterated plans to establish more agro-parks. 9 parks are already up and running.
The expectation is that over the next 3 years, 21 additional parks will be up and be successfully operated. When fully implemented, these parks will impact thousands of Jamaicans directly and indirectly.
In the meantime, the Prime Minister is urging manufacturers to take advantage of non-traditional exporting markets, given the rollout of Phase 2 of the National Export Strategy.
If we're not trading more, if we're not selling more, then we will not be able to increase our export and trade, and creating more jobs and increasing the rate of economic growth.
The Prime Minister was speaking at the ceremony to mark Newport Forsand's 10th anniversary in Jamaica. The fertilizer production company also honored its long-serving employees. The newly constructed Union Gardens Infant School off Spanish Town Road in St. Andrew is scheduled to open its doors in late September. Prime Minister Portia Simpson Miller toured the $186 million project last week, which will house 150 students from age 3 to 5. It was funded through the Union Gardens Foundation, which is a coalition of private and public sector leaders who want to contribute to the early childhood sector. Union Gardens Infant School will boast large classrooms, a spacious auditorium, covered walkways, and play areas.
I think this could be a good example of infant schools across the country. I think it would assist both parents and help the students. And you have a responsibility, even if you cannot read or write, put them in front of you and say, read now, and do your homework. That is very important.
And the Prime Minister continues to respond to questions from ordinary Jamaicans through her weekly feature, Ask Your Prime Minister. In responding to concerns about parental responsibility, Mrs. Simpson Miller urged individuals to play an active role in the education of their children.
Parents are not only to take care of the children when they get home from school or when they're at home. They also need to visit the schools to find out how the children are performing in classes,
The Prime Minister also responded to questions about the drought and water challenges. She said the Water Ministry was implementing strategies to ensure that communities receive water. Persons may pose questions to the Prime Minister via email or social media, get direct responses, or read them in the Star newspaper. The Prime Minister has expressed sympathy to the government and people of Dominica for the loss of lives and damage to property due to the passage of Tropical Storm Erica. Mrs. Simpson-Miller says the storm has reinforced the vulnerability and impact of climate change in the Caribbean. In a condolence message to Prime Minister Roosevelt Skerrit, she assured him that Jamaica stood in solidarity with the people of Dominica and was ready to assist with the rehabilitation efforts. And finally, the Prime Minister met with the outgoing Canadian Ambassador Robert Reddy, whose tenure formally ended today, August 31. The Prime Minister thanked the ambassador for his contribution to Jamaica for the past 3 years and presented him with a gift. This year marked 53 years of diplomatic relations between Jamaica and Canada. The countries have partnered on a number of initiatives in security and defense, as well as trade and investment. And that's it for this week's edition of Jamaica House Weekly. Join us next week for the latest from the Office of the Prime Minister.